A whole new world, that's where we'll be. On day 17, this video is dedicated to Old World wines versus New World wines. Stick around. I'm Annie Shapiro, certified sommelier and recreational lounge singer, and today is day 17, dedicated to Old World wines versus New World wines. If you haven't seen day 16, Terroir, I highly recommend you check it out because it is at the heart of the conversation regarding Old World wines and New World wines. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, now is a great time to do it. The link is right down there. And I also recommend you enroll. It's never too late and it's completely free. When you do, you get a heads up on what we're drinking, what we're tasting and smelling, and a copy of all the class notes. The link is in the description. We have both wines to talk about today, so let's get down to business. As I was saying, the concept of terroir, the geography, soil, and climate affect the sensory characteristics of the wine, is at the heart of the Old World versus New World wine debate. Old World versus New World used to refer to simple geography, the old imperial Europe versus the new lands they set out to discover and ultimately pillage and colonize. But we're not here to talk about geopolitics, we're here to talk about wine. Most major wine-producing regions are still located in Old Europe, where they've been making wine since pre-Roman times. In North and South America, Australia, and New Zealand, that is where colonizers and immigrants brought over their traditions and adapted their grapes to the new land. South Africa is kind of a middle world, not in that fantasy Lord of the Rings way, but in the sense they've been making wine for over 500 years, so they have some heritage grapes and very distinctive microclimates that express themselves on the aromas and flavors of the wines. Nowadays, the Old World versus New World debate is not so much about origin or place, but more a stylistic difference in how the wines are made and what makes a wine great. The good news is there is no better or worse in terms of Old World versus New World wines, but the conversation is worth having because it will give you more to talk about and help you find more wines that you will like. I brought two Malbecs today, which is a perfect way to look at Old World wines and New World wines, both in terms of geography and style. If you're subscribed to the channel or enrolled, I don't expect you to have both wines necessarily, but definitely let me know in the comments if you do. As always, I brought some things to help train our nose, some milk chocolate and orange peels, notes that are more commonly found in Mendoza New World Malbecs from Argentina, and blueberries, a cooler dark fruit note found in Cahors Malbecs from France, Old World. We will get to the tasting in a few minutes, but you are welcome to start tasting on your own at any time during the lesson. So the difference between Old World and New World winemaking style has to do with winemaking, and that of course starts with wine growing. Do you cultivate grapes in the vineyard with the goal of producing wines that reflect the terroir and the tradition, a literal reflection of the land and history in the bottle? That's Old World wine. Or do you bring in new grape varieties, plant and prune them with the goal of producing peak ripeness, implement modern techniques for a handcrafted wine? That would be New World style. Modern is the key word. Winemakers who left Europe didn't just throw tradition out the window, they worked with grapes they were able to cultivate more easily in the new land. Also, they implemented modern techniques because these were more modern times, and they listened to their market. They cultivated grapes and made wines they knew they could sell. A lot of wineries in Europe are run by small families, and they do not have the luxury to plant acres and acres of vineyards, so they tend to make the most of their harvest. If you recall from earlier episodes, a blend of riper and less ripe grapes produces a more balanced blend, nothing too bombastic or over the top. This is Old World style. Whereas modern, large-scale, and market-driven wineries can afford to plant acres of vineyards and then prune them back to produce big, juicy grapes, that in turn produces bigger, juicier, more robust wines. That's New World style. In some cases, it's a combination of a new climate and modern winemaking techniques. For example, this New World style Malbec from Argentina is worlds away from its predecessor, Cahors, a Malbec from the southwest of France. Our Old World Malbec from the southwest of France has been growing there since pre-Roman times. The climate is influenced by the Atlantic, with stormy cold winters and hot sunny summers. The cool, wet winter and the sunshine tends to produce darker blueberry notes and dark fruit flavors in general, along with tougher skin, more acidity, and tannins. This one is a 2015, so it's had a few years in the bottle, and it even has some dark rye bread aromas. You know, that caraway seed, kind of pumpernickel? Our Argentinian Malbec, our New World wine, comes from Mendoza, a mountainous region in Argentina with hot sunny days and very cold nights. The constant temperature fluctuations allow the grapes to ripen at a steady pace, and this produces healthy skins and a lot of sugar and bigger, juicier grapes. That comes through in the wine, which is fleshier and more robust with a wide spectrum of aromas. These notes in Mendoza Malbec include everything from cocoa powder to milk chocolate and orange peels to jammy notes like cherries and strawberry jam, as well as a musky animalic note. It's wild. So we used to generalize and say that wines from the Old World were always lighter bodied and focused on terroir and tradition, whereas New World wines focused more on the process. They were detached from history and concentrated on what worked best, new grapes to grow, and the modern techniques. In ultra-modern winemaking, you can basically work backwards to build a winery and plant grapes with the goal of getting the wine exactly the way you want, no matter where in the world you are. These days, the globalization of the wine market has exposed consumers to so many different styles of wine that tastes are starting to shift. You can just as easily find a California winemaker, a small scale, who is focused on maximizing the geological unique qualities of his vineyards as you can a 10th generation Chianti producer in Tuscany, Italy, who is planting Cabernet Sauvignon and aging it in new American oak barrels for that big, juicy California flavor. New World and Old World are more about winemaking style than where you are on the map. For example, an Old World style Cabernet might come in the form of a Bordeaux blend with a medium body, almost as famous for its graphite mineral notes, a sign of terroir, whereas a New World Cabernet Sauvignon might come from California, be aged in new oak barrels, and have a pulpy, big, juicy mouthfeel. That was a lot of information, but like anything else, tasting your way from the Old World to the New World takes time, so you may as well enjoy the journey. Let me know in the comments what you're tasting, and of course, ask me questions, and never forget to subscribe. I will see you next time. Cheers!